Okay, today we're going to do Psalm 93, and it's an interesting psalm. I was looking at it, 5 verses, and I'm thinking, okay, what? But in my mind, I saw, what if this psalm was done at a seashore where the waves are coming in? Because there's so much majesty in this five little psalm. I almost see that this guy is screaming over the waves. Imagine waves coming in and hitting rocks, and you're standing like on the Mediterranean or over by Galilee on a stormy day, and at the top of your lungs or in a loud voice you're saying, "The Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty, the Lord is clothed with strength, wherein is he girding himself, the world also is established, and it may not be moved." The strength and this worship. Thy throne is established of old, and thou art with everlasting. The floods are lifted up, O Lord. The floods are lifted up with their voice, and the floods are lifted up with their waves. The Lord is on high, and mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, the mighty waters of the sea. The testimonies are sure. Holiness belongs to thine house, O Lord, forever. You can almost see a guy just worshiping here amongst the seashore, that the floods are lifted up, and the floods have lifted up their voice. The floods have lifted up their waves, the strength and the power of the water. And so when you read this one, see something like that, where a guy's just standing against the seashore and just proclaiming how wonderful God is. He's almost challenging the waves to worship God. So anyway, 5 little verses, but think about that. Go through it a few times with that figurativism running in your head, because it really does bring this alive. Sometimes you'll see that with Psalms. And again, like I've said several times, you got to read these every day. They build into you proper imagery, feelings, emotions, not just some dead theological, okay, this is about Jesus and this is about this is about that. It's like talking about something instead of experiencing it. It's like you telling me about a movie or us going to see the movie. So see the movie here. This is a good one. I like that presentation there. And I just thought of that today, and it really works. Just stand there and exude out, almost screaming at the waves and letting the waves pound back at you. You're not standing in the water, of course, but you get the idea. So it's a very good psalm, 5 little verses, but with a lot of strength. Moving on in Numbers, and again, please read everything here. God has written it for a reason. When we see these inheritances given properly, and we get an idea of the scope of millions of people going out now, and God does not want them warring. He does not want Issachar fighting with Zebulun or Asher fighting with Dan. We're fighting for territory back and forth. God is establishing the boundaries. By lot, he is saying, you can go up to here, you can go there. We'll even see in a minute that somebody is complaining that they don't have enough. He goes, well, there's some giants in that mountain over there. Go take that. If you want more, and you can, and it's not moving into another person's territory, go up into those mountains and take those Canaanites. See, you want free stuff. It costs you to get, well, this is an inheritance, sure, but you have to claim it. You have to come and take it. Sometimes it takes faith to move for it. So the idea is that he starts carving this up. It's also challenging them to go in and settle, go in and occupy, go in and take the law of God, the standards of God, the commandments of God, and put them to work. You're going to have, again, these cities of refuge set in different places. You're going to have to make your way to the tabernacle on certain times. The men are going to come up to the tabernacle on certain days. You're going to have to keep feast days. You're going to have to keep Sabbath. You're going to have to make sure that certain laws are done the proper way, as if God were there. You don't get to make your own laws, and in households and how they're run, etc. How you treat strangers, how you treat servants, because you're having people under tribute. Maybe thousands of people are under tribute. So they're bringing in wood, they're bringing in, bringing up water, they're bringing hewers of stone. But be careful, they're also going to have philosophies. And you have to be very careful that you stick with your God. It's very important. He has done a lot, especially in the end of Deuteronomy, to state, do not forsake the Lord. Do not forsake me. I am a jealous God. I want you. I will give to you, and I will be for you. And one will chase 1,000, and two 10,000, And you'll have food, you'll have fullness, you'll have fatness, you'll have wonder. You turn against me, and your enemies will take you over, and I will be as against you as I am for you. There's no reason not to follow God here, especially if he's giving you this land. Just take it. Go out there and take it now. So he gives, in 16, we're going to talk about the inheritance that falls to Manasseh, and this is the other half tribe. Remember, half of Manasseh wanted to stay on the other side. So Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, they're on the other side of Jordan. Okay? And now, this other half is getting its lot. So in 16, we see they're getting their inheritance. And it says, the children of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim took their inheritance. Yes, you take your inheritance. This is being given to you. You take your inheritance. You don't just wait for someone to come in and give it to you on a spoon. You take it. So you go up there. God has said, I can have this area. I'm going to go take it. Get rid of those giants. So we see that here in 16 is all about Manasseh. 17, or Ephraim, sorry. We have Ephraim in 7. In 16, 17, we're talking about Manasseh. And within that is the daughters of Zelophehad. And they are good because they go in and they remind Eleazar. Moses is already dead now. And Joshua is stricken in years. Eleazar is kind of running the show before God. And they come forward to remind Eleazar of the promise that God made that through Moses, that they would have this land. So these women are holding land, and we act like these women are holding like 2 acres or 4 acres. We're talking about a large area here, that these women are going to be controlling until, they pass away and hands on, and it goes down the line to the next firstborn. And if it's a man, they'll get it. If it's a woman, they'll get it. So the idea here is that the daughters of Zelophehad go and talk to Eleazar, and there fell 10 portions. And the daughters of Manasseh had an inheritance among the sons. Again, women can have inheritance among the sons here, which is very important, that women, when we think about men lording over women, but here it is that God is sanctioning women owning land. I can't say this enough. We even see later on in Proverbs 31, she sees the field, she buys it. She sees the field, she doesn't go to her husband and say, can I, honey? She sees it's a good field, she purchases it. So we have in 17, Manasseh, and all of these, how far Manasseh is, and who it touches on the south, who he touches on the north. Read through this. Be very careful. Again, don't just speed read, sprint to the cross. I keep saying that several times. We're guilty of that sometimes in Christianity, and I'm fighting back from doing that, of just going, well, 17 is about this, 18 is about that. Let's keep moving. No, to really kind of glean it properly, to grid it properly. Look it over and see what's there properly and what it's really saying. And it's giving their area, saying who they're going to be north and south of. It says that the children of Manasseh didn't drive out some of the Canaanites, but later when they were stronger. So you get the idea that it's okay to come back. Sometimes they're taken under tribute. Sometimes you get to them later, but you're going to get to them. So the idea here is that they drove them out later. And they're the ones that are complaining. They're kind of saying, well, we don't have enough land. We need more land. Well, he says, okay, see those mountains? There's some giants in there, but go take that. I mean, if you want more, there's some over there for you to take. So the idea is now, and they're like, well, they're chariots of iron. Seems like Manasseh here is wanting the easy road. I want this, but I don't want to have to deal with giants and chariots of iron. He's like, sorry, if you want more, trust God. Chariots, and you've been against iron chariots before. Just go up with God. In 18, we see they all met at Shiloh, and that's where the tabernacle was. It was set up, a place right centrally located. And Joshua even gets on them a little bit, rebukes them a bit. How long are you slack to go up and possess the land which the Lord your God, which the Lord God of your fathers has given you? I know sometimes I read fast. How long are you slack to go up to possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers has given you? So they sent out 3 men to look over the land. Come back. I'm going to draw by lot. And then you go and take the land and drive out who's there. They drove out the majors. the big guys, the big kings. But then they needed to go out and drive out the rest of them because God had told them to. He wants to set up this beachhead of his glory so that all nations can come to him through Israel. And the world is made better by coming to the Creator God. So they go out and describe the land and come back, and Joshua cast lots. And we see that he talks with where Benjamin is. We're seeing in 18, and he talks about that they cover Bethel, and they cover over here near Luz, and they heard their borders are drawn down here, and they go up to Jerusalem, and there's different places there. Jerusalem is of course in Judah, but Benjamin is on there. Talks about the borders to the mountains. You know, has a lot of these places. I thought about doing geography here, but it would bog it down. If you're really interested, we have maps, and they're good quality maps in our Bibles. I've already made copies of them. But these maps, I'll bring mine up to show you, give you an idea of where they landed and how things were put together, and God established these borders for them. So I think this is something important that you need to know, that God established these so that they wouldn't fight. This came from God, not their own effort. So again, going back to Benjamin has their land, talks about that and all the cities that belong to Benjamin. In 19, we have Simeon. He gets his land, and we still have Zerubbabel. He gets his land. Zebulon, Zerubbabel. I don't know what I'm saying here. Zebulon. Where's my mouth today? Zebulon gets his land in 19. We also cover Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, Dan. And again, these are smaller areas, but lots, again, making sure, because what happens is there's no doubt, for example, in Naphtali, that this certain land, Hamath, belongs to him. That this certain city, Enridi, belongs to them. There's a city called Iron, belongs to him. When you look at Dan, there's Elon, belongs to him. It's very important that they take these cities and make sure that you understand that these belong to you. And so again, if this belongs to you, you have responsibility to govern it. You've got responsibilities for the economy. You've got a responsibility for taking care of any Levites and taking care of any strangers. Again, these words are not given here just to fill the page. Each one of these cities that are mentioned in here are areas of responsibility for this tribe to protect, to maintain, to make sure that they follow the laws of God, the standards of God, the commandments of God, the statutes of God, and if there's any problems, the justice of God is mete out as God has prescribed. Again, giving all of these lands is like saying it's giving them areas of responsibility, and no one can take this from them. No one can move into Asher and take Bethan or take Hali. You know, you just can't go in and take these. They belong to him, and he is responsible for them. Again, an important thing to see. And we also covering this with Dan, that where he has. And the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, according to their families. And according to the word of the Lord, they gave him a city called near Ephraim. And the inheritances, which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of Israel, divided for an inheritance by lot in Shiloh before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, so they made an end to dividing the country. So here we are at 19, and they've divided the country. They broke it up into the parts, one side of the Jordan, the other side of the Jordan, all the little cities of responsibility. The people are going to start living this life now. They've had the priest live it for them, or maybe Moses was taking care of them, or they looked to Joshua or Eleazar, please help us. Now, the individual Israelite will have certain levels of responsibility within the community. So we see this as very important to look at that and really glean what's there. Connect it with where we've gone from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and now this part of Joshua. See it all connected together. And so that we are seeing connections as we move forward. We have to be very careful. I'll say this probably every time. When we're looking at this from an evidentiary point of view, don't be careful how you touch it. I'm being careful, if I can, not to touch this and not say what's not on the page. And if you catch me on a few things, I'll apologize already, being human, but I'm trying to be as clear as I can with what's here so that we can move forward. We're moving forward. We might finish Joshua tomorrow. I'm not trying to run through it, but it seems like we're picking up the pace. It seems like a lot of the narrative tends to flow pretty quickly. And when we get into the stories of the judges and the stories of David and Saul and all these, we might move quicker than I want to. I'm going to have to slow my horses down. But let's see what's there, and always see what's on the grid. Always see what's in there and see it for what it is. Keep away from presumptions, conclusions, assumptions, traditions, or man traditions, or controlled definitions. Those are the 5 things you have to watch for. No presumptions, no conclusions, no assumptions, no man traditions, no controlled man traditions, and no controlled definitions. If you do that, you'll wind up going off into someplace else. Let the Bible say what it's saying. It's been good at that, and it's very good at that if we will just let it speak. Thank you.